Hello and welcome to another episode of Dulcimerica. My name is Futch and I am here to give you a little tutorial on the Oscar-winning theme song from the 1991 motion picture, Beauty and the Beast. This is a very tricky tune and I have been working with it for a very long time to make it smooth and clean, and it involves a lot of very careful finger placement, and I'm going to try and show you some of my discovery while working with this arrangement. It's very, very simple. It involves a lot of flat picking and a lot of holding on to notes and sustaining them as long as possible so that everything just sort of moves together, blends together, and you don't have all this choppiness. But there are moments when you have to get off the strings, silence strings. There's a lot of almost behind the scenes work involved to making this tune smooth and enjoyable. So let's just start off with some basics getting into it. We're going to start off going all the way across the strings with the familiar refrain. Now there are a couple of ways to do it, and this is the way I play it, and these are suggestions. You might take all this and do it just a little bit differently, so I'm not going to be very specific about a whole bunch. You can either arpeggio into this, that's the middle string that I'm hitting to get that open melody note. Or you can just strum into it. Very important to make the changes between D and G at the 3rd fret, but the melody remains the same right there. How you want to get into it, arpeggiating or strumming, is completely up to you, of course. Then once we get into it, we're going to start going across the strings from the 2nd fret to get our melody. Let's open on the melody string and then at the 3rd fret on the bass string. That's the melody note, so you're going to go. I like to arpeggiate through that part. Notice my arpeggios for the most part are also partial. I don't go all the way across all 3 strings, usually just the bass string and the middle string, because the melody is often living on the melody string and I don't want to chop that melody up with additional beats and rhythms. So try to avoid messing wherever the melody lands. Try not to arpeggiate that note or you'll add beats and you'll add lyrics to the song basically. So going from here, notice when I got into that A, that 4-2-1-A, I didn't hit it all at once. I just got to where that melody note needed to be and then walked in the rest of the chord. And that's a method I use often when I don't want to let go of other strings or interrupt the sustain of other strings that are taking place. So I just go for the melody note first and then walk in the rest of the chord so the notes are there when I need it. And that contributes to a nice smooth flow. Middle string, and then to the open on the melody string. F sharp minor. Now, I'm not barring this, but oftentimes my L-shaped chords, I am putting the bar all the way down at the 2nd fret, or wherever the bottom of the L-shaped chord is, so that if the melody needs to come down through that bar, utilizing the note that's right there, and continue on down, what I can do is I can just simply have that bar in place, walk down the melody from the 4th fret, 3rd fret, it's already at the 2nd fret thanks to the bar, and then extend a finger or drop a finger into place to get down to the next place there. So sometimes I bar it, sometimes I don't, but let's take a look at how I'm hitting it now. Yeah, I put my finger down there that time. I have no idea why. I can be inconsistent sometimes depending on if I'm playing a tune or teaching a tune. When I'm teaching, sometimes I don't really think about it. walk it down, then get up to your G on the bass string, and then you want to hold on to that G while you walk down from the 3rd fret on the melody string. Notice the pinky is getting into the action there. Thumb, thumb, pinky, open, come up to 4. Once again, walking in that A. We're going to walk in the C now. And if you don't have a 1.5 fret, you won't be able to play this tune with this arrangement. But the 1.5 fret offers us that lovely low C, among other things. Okay, so we walk in that C, and then now this was the part that was tricky for me for a very long time. The melody is going to be hopping around in the 2nd fret area. So we come out of this, pick the melody string, middle string at the 2nd fret. So we're going. Then the finger on the bass string needs to come down to the 2nd fret. 2nd fret bass string. It's part of the melody. So we come from this. Okay, nice and slow. So all of that activity is taking place across the 2nd fret on all 3 strings. Be very careful about your finger choices here, because this was a stumbling block for me for a really, really long period of time. And I still freeze up just a little bit when I approach here. It can be very easy to mess that up. It's all melody, so you want them all just to flat pick through and run into each other. So again, from the C. Thumb takes care of the melody note on the bass string at the 3rd fret. And then what we're doing here is an inverted E minor, which, when it's inverted like this, it is actually a G6 chord. And important here is to take the bass string out of the picture by silencing it however you want to. And all we're going to do here is do our refrain on the melody string with the drone on the middle. And that's it. You don't want the bass string in the picture at all. So we're going to go from that C again. So I use the right hand palm mute to just come down and silence that bass string. And then we're just playing. Here we go now. Right up the middle string. That was barred at the 3rd fret there. So that melody note is already there under my finger, at the 3rd fret on the melody string. Come back down to your F sharp minor. Sliding that whole thing up to the 3rd fret. Okay, watch your fingering here. Because I'm barred at the 2nd fret, that melody note is covered, but I do have to extend something to come down here to get down there, and then we're going to want to go to a B minor, so it's going to become. Then let go of that on the middle string, right? Get into your C now. And our key change, we're going to go to the key of G from the key of D. So we're going to go to our 3-0-0. We're coming down and we're completing that G, 3-1-0 G chord. And now the melody is going to start from the middle string. From the 1 on the middle string to open on the melody string. Thumb catches the 2nd, 3rd fret. Okay. So what we've got there is a 3, 1.5, 3 chord. And as I arpeggiate, I don't let go of the melody string until I absolutely have to, so I can let that note ring out. So coming from our key change, then I let go of it. You see that? This can be tricky, but you want the da-da-dum. Now this is where it really, really gets tricky because we've got a lot of big leaps here. And I have not re-engineered this song yet and re-evaluated it to see if there may be a better way to do it. But so far, this is sort of the way I've stuck into it. And it requires some very, very calm hands. We come from here. Nice big strum so we can keep that sustain going as long as we can. And I realized, and I'm so sorry, many of you realize, or have told me over the years, that you just don't have the reach that I have. And I don't have a huge reach, but I do have a big reach, especially with the thumb coming from positions here. So you might have to get off of this strum and this movement a little earlier than I do. But what you want to do is you want to carry this as long as you can. Get that thumb to walk up. Now I know a lot of you are thinking there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to do that stretch, and that's cool. But what you want to do is you want to eventually make your way up to that B minor. So you might have to use, once again, the right hand palm mute to silence the strings and give yourself just a bit of a break. And I know our goal here has been to keep the strings sustaining, vibrating, so that we don't have any big gaps. But because we've done such a good job of that so far, it's okay to do some full stops for dynamic purposes, because the whole song, it would be lovely if we could keep the whole thing moving and legato and lovely. But it's nice also to have some dramatic stops. And this is where one of those dramatic stops is going to be fully functional to allow you to get from this first position area up to a second position area here. So I'll show you how I do it. It goes like this. And basically I'm just hopping off of those strings, and the key word here is gingerly. You really want to avoid ghost notes and any other things that are going to clutter up the arrangement. So those additional 2 arpeggios there are just to give us some strength to carry us up while we focus only on the melody string. Very, very gentle stuff you've got to do here. Now here I like to get off of that C chord and just walk the melody down from the 6th fret. Little D7 in there before we get back into this. Let go of that at the last minute. F major. Again, a big stretch, not impossible, but when you're moving up to speed, this is where I often also find myself clenching up just a little bit, because it's very difficult to do cleanly. So we come up from our F major to our C. Again, a very, very big stretch. If you have to get off the chord, just remember, either use a right hand palm mute to silence the chord so you can just walk that melody down by itself, or gingerly take your fingers off the strings, and hopefully you won't have any ghost notes that ring when you take your fingers off of them, and you can make that happen. So coming from the F again, notice I make that note a little short and staccato. I can hang out there a little bit longer, but again, playing this up to speed, you don't have a lot of time to hang out there before you get back down and hit that C. So going from the F, into our A minor, take a pause, and then across all the strings. I like to take some big dramatic pauses here before getting back into. Move that up to the 1.5 fret middle string. And make sure you hold on to some semblance of the G chord when you're doing the melody coming back down again, because we are in the key of G now. We've made the key change. Now we go to D. And again, if you take your hands off the strings nice and light, you should be okay. And I like to come in and do a little. In typical Alan Menken fashion. So there you have a little tutorial on Beauty and the Beast. And I know somebody who was in the audience when I performed this for the first time on stage at the Solani Dulcimer retreat, and she is one of my patrons on Patreon. So I want to give a big shout out to Julia Perry. Thank you so much for your kind support of what I do, for supporting Dulcimerica, for the creation of the albums, and everything else that goes with it. Thank you, Julia, very much. If you have not checked out my Patreon stream, you can go to patreon.com/BingFutch, pledge $1 and get all kinds of free stuff, CDs, videos, goodies. Thank you for tuning in once again. I'll be shooting some more episodes today, dealing with all different skill levels from very beginning to intermediate and on up. So make sure you keep your eyes open for that. You can find me at dulcimerica.com, and of course also on YouTube at youtube.com/BingFutch. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.